The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Table topics for one more week. And I hope everything is okay with you over here. We're trying, like the weather, trying to click to spring.
Yeah. Exactly. I know, at least we're not having the weather they had down in Texas, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They need to come in a few winter months in here to see what we go through and get used to.
Yeah, but you know, I'm going to give them some leniency because it's 70 degrees down there. They're not used to it being 10 degrees for the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something interesting on that I found that basically, I think it came from the energy department, that for them to go on and turn on other, not generators, but other supply, they would go over, I guess, the standards that the U.S. set, right? So they had to go to the Department of Energy to get that approval. By the time they got it, it was already over. So, you know.
And that did you heard on the news that the $300 bill went to $6,500. $6,500.
Yeah.
For that trip.
But what I'm getting at, Carlos, is that was something that was just signed in, but you hear very little about it. Those standards that come back in again. So basically, why weren't they allowed to go online with those other systems? They weren't allowed because of the environmental rules. I hate to say, but I mean, when you have something like that for 4 or 5 days, I think you can go, go out of bounds on those regulations. But that's not being sent on the media. I find it hilarious myself. But
yeah. Do you blame the globe warming or whatever they call it now?
How can I blame that on global warming when it was 10 degrees and 15 degrees below zero? How can I relate that to global warming?
Well, for the fact that the places that never saw snow now seen snow, and places that usually have a lot of snow not seen snow. I think it's a switch somewhere there. I think things moving on.
Well, I mean, do I believe that pollution is hurting this environment? There's a lot of pollution coming from Asia, where they just basically throwing stuff in the ocean. Another thing that's really interesting is all these paper masks. They're showing that they're ending up in rivers and everything. So yeah, do I believe some of the things that they say on TV? That the planet's warming. I don't know, because you know what? I was watching something from 1992, and there was an individual, an actor on there that was pretty famous about the time, and said, we only got 8 to 10 years to save this planet, or we're all going to be doomed. That was back in 1992. So now we're hearing in 8 years again. We're hearing the 8-year thing that something's going to happen.
Well, do you believe that the water is rising?
No, because they said that 20 years ago, and these places are still above water. So I do.
I know. I mean, I mean, I don't think they're gonna it's gonna come up like 20 feet in 10 years. But a foot in a decade, it's a lot.
Carlos, I think I've mentioned this before, and probably on this show. Back in the 80s, Boston Harbor, raw sewage was coming out of their storm things there. Fall River had raw sewage under Battleship Cove coming up. We've improved so much more. I think back in 1997, I went over to the UK, and I was like, holy cow, the exhaust coming out of the cars was something that we experienced here back in the 70s. And they were still doing that. So, we've improved so much more. I think I had seen something that we only contribute maybe 10% of the emissions of like greenhouse gases. The other countries such as China, India are contributing far more than we are. And it's, you know what I mean? I look for smart things. So this Paris Accord Agreement, you know what this Paris Accord Agreement was giving countries like China third world status, meaning that they don't have to improve until 2050, but we have to improve. So when you're constantly, we've done a good job improving in this country. I can tell you that as someone that's 57, 56 years old, I've seen all these areas improve. The water, the clarity of the water, just how we handle things has improved. But these other countries aren't doing it. Look at videos on China and India, what their environmental laws are like. So what does that do? When you can just do whatever you want to your environment over there, and you have a lower rate of that you give to your citizens, they kill us job-wise. They absolutely kill us. So, you know, let's go back into this Paris Treaty. It doesn't do anything for us. We have to pay in, and we have to abide by these things that these other countries are not abiding by. So my thing is, if it's so bad, why aren't these other countries being forced to do it? Why are we giving them a free pass for 30 years when they have far more people than we? China has 1.4 billion and India has 1.3 billion. They're, you know what I mean? Just population wise, you know, they're contributing to, you know, the demise of resources.
And for the little, for those that the little they do, still our money. We still sending them money to do it.
Yeah. So do I believe that if we don't do something in this country, it's going to go to, you know, bad? No, because those, even if we went to zero emission, we can't have any cows getting out gas. We can't drive cars anymore. We're still going to we're not going to make that much of an effect in this country. And I'm not saying that we don't do anything, but everybody has to contribute, and we're not holding other areas responsible. I mean, God, look at the WHO, right? The World Health Organization says that, you know, the virus didn't start in any kind of factory or anything like that. It came from bats. Really? There have been numerous studies on that, and that's what they're trying to. So, maybe I'm a little. I don't know. Maybe I don't believe everything that I'm fed. I like to read other things other than what you see on CNN. You know,
going back to Texas, you think they're gonna look different at this green energy?
Well, I mean, I think we need to have green energy. We have to have a combination of things. But the other thing that they're not telling us about Texas is that basically they have different equipment there because it's hot down there. In the summertime, it's hot. So their electricity use is so much hotter. You can't put the same transformers up here that you put down there because they'd burn out in the summertime, and vice versa. We can't use this stuff here in the winter as it's seen because of that. The other thing that I read that's really kind of interesting is that their electricity use is obviously higher in the summer. So they take a lot of their equipment offline for maintenance during the wintertime because it's like 65, 70. It might drop down to 40. So all these contributing factors, and along with the fact that they can't put out that extra emission, and they asked the Department of Energy, and it was like, oh, well. So you hear that they're blaming, what do we hear in Carlos? They're blaming the Republican people that are in office there because they're in charge right now. You know what I mean? And it's a combination. I just wish we could get away from blaming different politicians because, as we know, Republicans, Democrats, they're all the same.
Yeah. I'm not gonna disagree with you. You know, when a politician, it's a politician.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. And we know that locally. We know that locally as well, don't we?
Politicians, car sales people, and lawyers, I think they all share the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Promise, but
that's it. So
delivery nothing.
Locally, there's been a lot of stuff going on, I gather.
Oh my God, what's going on in Fall River? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
but again, and it's when a person gets hired, gets voted in for being a person, and after being a person, they change to be a politician.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
that's what they do. That's what they all do. And then they last one term. Oh, I did nothing wrong. Well, you had to have done something wrong, because you cannot turn, the majority of people that voted, the last term to elected you, turn their back on you. It's not one person or two. You still, if you lose your big base, something's wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, and no, I totally agree. I watched the council meeting last night. It was very interesting. I don't have Facebook anymore because of all the drama on it, but I know that there was some stuff put on Facebook about what's going on. And yeah, is it appropriate to put that stuff on there? I don't know. I mean, that's how people, a lot of people get their news from these things, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Well, but again, we need to verify. So what Kadeem is being blamed. He didn't write nothing in there that's a lie.
Yeah.
Everything is true. You can verify for yourself. It's came from their own mouths.
Yeah.
They the ones that said it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have a proof to back up, guess what? I didn't say that. You said it. I'm repeating what you said. Okay.
Yeah, no,
so
I don't have.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't. If it's true, then what I mean. You can't get mad at somebody if something's true.
Exactly. So, but there's a matter, and I avoid to put stuff on Facebook, because there's a matter. I could be talking about the criminal. It's people out there that's going to defend it.
Yeah.
The criminal.
Exactly.
And then, but there's the point. You can tell him, yes, but guess what? But he has blue eyes. Yes, he has blue eyes, but he's still a criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he's still a criminal. And that's what my post is about. I'm talking about the criminal. I'm not talking about his family. I'm not talking about if he's tall or small, or black or white, or yellow. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the criminal side. It was a crime.
Exactly.
So that's why I avoid to put stuff, because I didn't lost friends. I just unfriendly friends, because I don't agree with what they say, but if I'm going to disagree with them, they're going to be mad at me. Yeah. So I prefer just to, click the button. We're still friends. We still talk when we see each other on the streets. Hi, bye. But because they don't accept a different opinion.
Yeah. I agree. That's one of the biggest reasons why I'm not on Facebook, because if I don't agree with you, right, people get mad at you, and I'm not going to try to convince someone how I feel. You know what I mean? And that's what you end up doing on Facebook. You try to convince people the way you think. You can't change people. So all you do, all it does is create unwanted drama, So, but I mean,
what the something at beginning, because from day one, I didn't like the superintendent. I think that he was, was an empty suit. That was not the person that was there. He was hiding something. Yeah. But again, I had no proofs, right? So I had to go alone. But I always said to those close to me, and even inside the school committee, that I didn't like this guy. I don't trust this guy. And I had not problems. I didn't have a problem with them, but just for the fact that he was ignoring invitations to come to a community meeting, to me, that was very small. But still, now I coming to find out that he ignored being in meetings that he needed to be there to represent the city and to represent us, and he ignored. And I guess he don't like meetings. Then he just like the meetings that he goes to the school, because he's the chief and everybody has to bed down, you know, because he's the chief there. So with that being said, one complaint came out. Second complaint came out. But what bothers me is all these people knew about these complaints and they all tried to hide. That's the problem I'm having. I voted for you to represent me. So if it's somebody there that's hurting me, that hurting my kids, that hurting my families, or the families that the people are working for him, okay? So you're not representing me anymore.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think this whole situation has been handled horribly. You know, some of the things I've read should have never been said. And you know, nowadays
you cannot work on a place, an environment that the F is thrown on the table like every other center. You cannot work. I cannot see myself working like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, you got to know your audience. So, you know what I mean? If people that you work with are like that, then it's not going to bother them. But if you know it bothers people, you need not do it, especially you being the manager. I've seen when managers use language and they get written up, you know? So, you know, to be like that, and then, you know, there's complaints and the complaints aren't addressed, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem, you know? And of course, what does it do, Carlos, right? It's on Channel 12, Channel 10 last night. You know, what happened here in Fall River. The city council has no confidence in. It's like, you know, really, do we need that unwanted attention here? It just makes us look like a bunch of idiots that we can't even handle a school department.
And that decision is sitting in 3 votes.
Yeah.
All this discussion and all this news coming out all over that people talk about Fall River again is because of 3 votes.
Yeah.
3 votes that they should not vote as friends. They should vote, you know, I mean, they should vote for the people. And in top of all of this, now I got a hold of a letter that's saying that Durfee Constructions already have a problems. The building already have problems. They already had rain running on those walls, and they made a decision to just replace 2 feet on the bottom of the sheetrock on those classrooms. Well, it doesn't matter if the water can run those walls. The whole thing is contaminated. The whole thing is gonna in a year it's gonna be mold inside those walls. Okay, so. But this had to be leaked, was leaked out, more information leaked out. They know about that. And when we voted to give money for this, we knew that we're going to construct another school that's going to be condemned in 30 years like the old one. Because the truth is we don't know how to build good things, good buildings. We don't know how to. And on top of that, they have problem with their fire codes that, you know, it's been broke too. So it's like, you know, $263 million. It's $250 billion that we putting into that we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what I saw last night, I didn't think was you know, going to be appreciated by a lot of taxpayers, is that there's an $8 or $7 million pool, and now we have to pay a couple more million for the fields. And you know what? You want the best equipment and stuff, but why wasn't that included in the overall project? That's what was said, that everything was included. It was going to be this much money, and it's going to be funded. That was, you know, the whole big thing when that question came on the ballot. You think everything's included, and then we find out later that no, now we got another $2 or $3 million dollars added. It gets.
And another thing that I'm against is they capped it, so they separate all the projects now to be under $5 million each. Because if they combine all those amounts, the question has to be put out for vote again. to the taxpayer. So what they did, they divided all those projects to fall under $5 million each, so we don't have to have a voice on this money. So I put it on Facebook. Why don't they divided the project of Durfee by room and kept it under $5 million each room? We didn't have to vote it for that. That's the way they. Well, what are you doing it now? Why did you did it for the building? Divided by room. Make it under $5 million each room, and that's it. You could get your money without us even having a voice on. That's what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I wish, and they said they couldn't do this, but I still wish that they would have, did something to fix the old Durfee. Because what I'm afraid of what's going to happen is that, and this happened because I went to the old Durfee in 1978. I was the first class to walk in there, and within the first year, there was vandalism. People pulled toilets out from the connectors. They pulled sinks out where they didn't have the doors open to the bathrooms. That's how bad it got. So I'm hoping that, we get something nice. It's not going to happen because when it happened back in the 80s, it's going to happen again now. You know what I mean?
Look, when you have a building like an old building, like the old Durfee on Rock Street, you can turn that building and update that building for any year.
Yeah.
Could be 3,000 years from now, could be 100,000 years from now.
Yeah.
You have a building that it's built and so well built that you can turn it and appropriate it for anything you want. Big rooms, small rooms, whatever.
Yeah.
The buildings we build right now, they last 50 years, and then we change so much that needs to be adjusted. But those buildings cannot hold an adjustment.
Yeah.
They need to be knocked down and rebuild again.
Yeah.
That's the difference when we have an old building and a new building. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it's that. I mean, I agree with you, Carlos, but we have probably half the people in this city live in 100-year-old houses because most of these tenement houses are over 100 years old now. So my thing is, when you would see things such as water pouring in on classrooms or whatever, you got to maintain it. If you don't you can have a brand new house, right? And in 15, 20 years, if you don't maintain it, it's going to start getting to be a dump. So my thing about when they voted to build this new school, great. For 15 years, you probably won't have a problem without the maintenance. But then after that, we don't maintain these things, and then there are issues there. So until we get a better maintenance program in this city, I don't really think we should be building anything new anymore because you can't afford to pay for the ones that are out there, and we're never going to change. They never provide the appropriate maintenance. It's never going to change. So you know what? Fix it. We should have fixed. All right, we're going to fix this portion. That's what a lot of towns do. We're going to fix this portion of the high school, this wing of the high school. Then we're going to fix this wing of the high school, and anything where water's leaking in, fix it because it's only going to deteriorate even more.
Fall River, it's rich. We are a rich city.
Yeah.
Okay. Only Fall River can build, and in the entire state.
Yeah.
Fall River, it's so rich to build the best high school of the entire state.
Yeah.
So it's like the poor you are, the more you have. That's
it's called credit cards. It's called credit.
Exactly.
Right? We take
exactly. So as long as you have a good credit, you could be as poor you want and have the best cars you have, the best house you can have, and you see people living on a 100-year-old house, but has money in the bank to buy a house cash.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, if you look around here, look at New Bedford High School, you got to compare comparable things. New Bedford High School was built back in the 70s, like the early 70s. That school's still fine, and I'm going to give New Bedford credit. They do a better job maintaining their schools because a lot of their schools were built in the early 70s. late 60s, and they're not tearing things down there. So until we get better at that, I have no confidence. Hopefully, like you said, in 30 years, is this high school going to be the same thing? I mean, we'll probably be dead, so we're not even going to really worry about it by then.
I know.
30, 40 years. But, you know, it just, yeah, I don't really have a lot of confidence in this. I personally,
they probably could pull this this video 30 years from now and watch me.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. And it's, yeah, you're right. And unfortunately, that's the case. You could kind of like not follow any of the politics in this city and come back 10 years later, and we'll still be arguing about the things from 10 years ago that haven't been fixed. There'll be trash, there'll be maintenance of buildings, there'll be the roads, right? All these
you mentioned a bad word there.
Yeah, all these different things, right? So
it's a bad word. Trash. It's a bad word for Fall River.
Well, I think it's going to be a bad word even more if they have to put in some kind of fee. So you'll have a fee. Then we're going to stop paying for the new Durfee High School that you say already has issues, right? And then we're probably going to get a new appraisal that your property's worth more. So it's going to go up even further. So enjoy the ride.
But guess what? We still paying for trash trucks that we don't longer have. Yeah. You know, we sold them. We bought 8 or 9 million, and we sold them for $1 million, all of them. Go ahead, take it. Yeah. We will pay the bill, but we don't need the trucks. We don't need the trucks. One question that I keep asking every administration is, how many cars do the city own? Yeah. How many cars? What cars do the city own? I see cars. I just saw a truck today, white with a different symbol that says City of Fall River. Where that car came from? Yeah. You know, what that car came from? I would like to know. And the cars that we bought 2 years ago, they trash. They all smashed. They all rust. They're terrible. Yeah. They're terrible. So who are in charge of this? Who's maintaining these cars? The cars need to go in the shop and fix it. Or else going to be trash, and they're going to be on the trash, and we're going to still have the bill to pay.
Yeah, no, I mean, we should have I would think we'd have an auto, you know what I mean, like a fix, you know, like an auto area.
I don't think we have.
Oh, we don't have.
I don't think we have. We are self-insured, so you know what that tells you.
Yeah, so basically,
you need a light. You go to the garage and they replace the light. That's it. We don't have a body shop. A city of our size with those many cars, I don't even know how many. I would like to know how many. But with so many cars we have, okay, we need a mechanic. We need a garage for these cars to be maintained. Yeah. Period.
I know. I hear you. I don't know if this is going to be solved now or in 50 years.
I don't know. But
I won't be here in 50 years to worry about it. So
well, we are building. I think the proposal $1.9 million to build a building to put our equipment inside. But the cars, trucks, everything stays at the house. That the employees probably take it home, you know, they have furniture to change on the weekends and blah, blah, blah. So, my friend, we're done for one more week. It was always a pleasure.
All right.
Just hang in there. One day, this will change.
Yeah, all right. If you
that will change when we elect a politician and not a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Have a good night.
You too.